My new boyfriend has a stalker ex.
Oh, okay.
Do you feel attacked?
Yeah, I feel seen.
My boyfriend, 32 male, and I, 27 male, have been dating and talking for a short time, maybe a few months total. It was my understanding that he just got out of a long-term relationship, which I was worried about, but trusted that the situation was under control. Within the span of a month, my boyfriend's ex has shown up at his place at least once a week trying to get back with him. The four situations have escalated each time with things said by the ex. Quote, I was worried because you didn't reply to me. Will you let me come in and play with the cats? Quote, do you want to go out for our anniversary? Do you want to go to Mexico with me? And the most insane part, quote, will you marry me and move to Mexico with me? In my opinion, my boyfriend isn't being as direct and upfront as he could be. Each time it happens, my boyfriend says, I think this time is different, and he got the point. But it keeps happening, and he engaged with him each time instead of just saying, leave me the fuck alone and get off my porch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would have shut this shit down a long time ago, but I'm stuck in the position where I have to let my boyfriend handle it. He talks about getting a restraining order, but hasn't followed through. My boyfriend is definitely not stepping up to the plate when it comes to getting his ex's advances to stop. How do I handle this situation?
I have so many thoughts.
So many.
I have so many thoughts. And I don't even know where to start. But I think that, so I obviously went through, I guess not obviously for those who don't know, but I went through a very similar situation for a few years. And like so many of those things mentioned actually happened to me too. Um, I think that the first and most important thing is that if you don't feel he's being as honest as he could be, that's going to be the biggest detriment here, because in order to move forward and have a relationship where you're constantly being attacked from a third party, the third party being his ex, you have to have a mutual understanding. You guys have to be a united front. I think that's the most important thing that I learned in my personal experience was you two have to be aligned in how you're going to handle this. One person can't have one strategy and the other person has another strategy, because I've also experienced it that way and it backfires. So you have to be like aligned. Are you going all no contact? If you are, you both have to agree to that, because they both have to be on the same page, because essentially the ex could start attacking him the way he's attacking his boyfriend.
Yeah.
By sending the same messages or attacking him, showing up to his house, similarly to the way that he already is with the ex. And so in my experience, ignoring works really well. And I know that that's like, okay, you have a stalker, you shouldn't ignore that. But I think one thing that people don't realize, and maybe you can kind of weigh in on this because I feel like you're kind of knowledgeable on these things, is restraining orders are difficult to obtain.
Incredibly difficult. That's like a thing that I saw throughout Reddit, throughout listener write-ins. It's like no one took me seriously. I had to go above and beyond to get a restraining order, and I still wasn't protected. Like they still showed up. Like it's really hard to get taken seriously.
They are so difficult. I tried briefly, failed, and didn't really fail. Well, it was the police made me feel really stupid, which was really sad because I mean,
so fucked up, because look at how many people have stalkers and end up dead from them.
Yeah, no, that experience taught me so much, because when I went there, and you know this, Morgan, like I'm not an emotional person. I don't like break down crying. And I broke down crying to this police officer because I was genuinely so frustrated. I felt like this was my last resort.
Ugh.
And he was basically telling me like that I didn't have enough. And I felt like, so in that moment, I was like, I see why so many women or men both don't speak up about like harassment, because they feel like they don't get taken seriously.
Yeah, no.
And I have a friend, you know her, she is a lawyer, and she had to try to obtain a restraining order against her ex recently. He was actually making like threats, and he was actually following her. And this woman is a lawyer, and she dropped her case because even though she knows the ins and outs of the legal system, it was really difficult. And further, with a restraining order, is they actually, the party that you're filing a restraining order against, or an order of protection, sometimes they call it a TRO, which is a temporary restraining order, that party gets served, and then they have they get to show up in court during this hearing.
Yeah.
So it's honestly, if this is somebody that you're trying to avoid and that you're scared of, it's a sure way to see them because you file the restraining order. I mean, they don't have to show, but most of them will because they either want to A, see you, or B, they want to speak their case.
Yeah.
So then now that you're put in a room with them and it's uncomfortable and it's somewhat dangerous. So long story short, like restraining orders are not always the solution here. So for this couple that's experiencing this, like I think the only thing you can do is focus on what you can control. You can't control this ex's actions, but what you can do is you two can have a very, very honest conversation with each other. And I would suggest that he say to his boyfriend, the only way this is going to work is if we have 100% transparency.
Absolutely.
You tell me every single time he reaches out, shows up, tries to initiate contact, etc., and you report everything back to me, and we keep like a file, which is what I did. And you keep like a case file of like everything that happens, timestamps, dates,
Also,
records.
with your case where you need to start shutting it down. Like
Yeah.
this person's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
shutting
yeah.
it down at all. They're almost like,
Oh.
I wouldn't say encouraging it, but it's
Yeah.
a red flag that like there's not more like you need to stop showing up here.
True.
We're done.
Yeah.
We are broken up.
Yeah.
I've moved on. This is no more.
Yeah.
Please do not show up at my
yeah,
house.
that should be a given then. But the thing with that is I think it has to be said once, assertively, crystal clear, and in writing. And that's it. One time, like you draw your line in the sand and you say like, I am in a relationship. I need you to respect that. You are like threatening not only my safety and sense of well-being, but you're now like threatening my livelihood and my relationship. So I'm respectfully asking you to stop. If they continue, you ignore. Ignore. You starve the fire and you just keep a record of everything that they do. And eventually, if they try something crazy, you can try to go get a restraining order.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
I know. It's just like such a fine line. I honestly, like you went through hell, just like knowing what you went through and everything. Like didn't you get flowers sent to your work from your stalker?
Okay, no. So that's another stalker, but
What the fuck?
Yeah. So in that case, so the stalker wasn't stalking me, was stalking the guy that I was dating. And this person was someone from his past. And when I say past, I literally want to say like 6+ years ago, maybe 8. And she essentially sent flowers to his office and signed it like, let's call her Jenny. And she was just like, waiting for you, XOXO Jenny. And it's funny because the balloon said happy anniversary and it was like a random day in May. And
what the fuck?
Yeah, I couldn't put that together, but like my boyfriend, he basically sent me the picture, his work received it, and they were like, they all had met me, so they knew my name, and they were like, Jenny.
Who the fuck is Jenny?
Who is Jenny? And it was super awkward. And that same girl, Jenny, just recently, this is the one who's been messaging me. The one who's like
God.
having is it psychosis or what is it?
She's having a little bit of a mental breakdown, I think.
Yeah. So she found me on Instagram very recently. I'm talking in the last month.
She's like been tagging you with like the FBI.
She put me in a group chat with the FBI, Melania Trump, Snoop Dogg, and the Justice Department, and Jim Jones.
Yeah. Which how many of them are checking their DMs?
What are they going to do? What is Snoop Dogg going to do? And she's like writing crazy things. Like it's like Morgan can back me up on this. It's crazy in the sense that it's like, this person's like almost like schizophrenic.
They're mentally ill, 100%.
There's nothing you can say. This person can't be reasoned with. The sentences aren't even coherent. So again, you just ignore it. And, this, like my boyfriend has drawn a very clear line. I've been like, hey, like I haven't seen you in years. Please don't do that.
No.
So yeah, at a certain point, it's out of your control. This person doesn't like make me feel threatened, and I don't know how he feels. Like if he feels like his life is being threatened.
This as far as stalkers go, seem pretty tame in comparison to like some of the stories.
Yeah.
So I think there's a fine line, and like you have to use your best judgment and like what you're comfortable with. Like you said, like you don't feel threatened, you don't feel like unsafe from this stalker, this person. Like the other stalker you had would like literally case your house.
Oh yeah, thank you. That's true. She like knew what I drove.
She would like
she knew everything.
She would know when you were at your boyfriend's house.
Yes.
The minute you left, she would send him a text.
Yeah.
Like that's where it's like,
yeah.
Okay, this one's crossing a line.
That one crossed lines.
But
you're reminding me about all this.
you've had a lot of stalker experiences.
Yeah.
But I think you just have to like go with your gut. And I think that can't be understated. Like trusting our guts is so important. Like our nervous systems, our body are like trained to be like fight or flight. Like that's what our bodies do. So if you feel like something's not right, you're uneasy, don't hesitate.
Yeah.
And if your stalker is getting like violent or, pushing boundaries, go to the police if they don't listen. Like there's other resources out there that I'll share on YouTube for that, but like just make sure someone and maybe multiple people know about it.
Right. And I guess my like one piece of advice, not that this is like an advice podcast, but this is something I did experience directly. And I do want people to know this coming off of the fact that like a restraining order can be difficult to obtain, but that shouldn't deter you if you feel threatened.
Yes, 100%.
You should still try. And one thing I did and I would recommend doing is when I did go to the police station and I asked to speak to an officer about filing a temporary restraining order, even though they had told me I didn't have enough, I asked them, can you please, because at this point I did feel a little endangered and I was a little shaken up. And I was like, can you just take a record, make a note down that I'm here formally trying to file a restraining order.
In case something goes wrong.
In case like I go missing and then you guys are like, whoa, where do we start? And then it's like, oh, on January 3rd, she came in and said this person had made her feel threatened. And you know what I mean? It's like, just try to get a record, something on record for your safety.
At the bare minimum. Yeah. And like tell everyone you possibly can. I think one thing too that like I just showed some people in my life that they didn't know about is the click 5 times on your iPhone's power button.
I didn't know that. What does it do? What does it do?
Okay, you guys. So this is like, I'm constantly scared about getting kidnapped. Like I will talk about this throughout the episode, but like getting kidnapped is my biggest fear. So if you have an iPhone, and I'll try to like screen record and just zoom on the screen or whatever, but if you have an iPhone and you click the power button 5 times, it goes into like an emergency response system. So it looks like this. And it says like emergency SOS. And then it immediately, if you let it go and you don't like press cancel like I just did, it automatically calls emergency services and you can set up your emergency people and it'll automatically send them a message that you need help and it'll send them your location where you're at.
Wow.
So when I'm walking in my car, like don't be on your phone. Don't pretend to be on your phone because when you're walking in your car, attackers will typically go for people that look distracted. So no headphones, don't be on your phone, even if you're pretending, like that's not gonna keep you safe. Like have your phone in your hand and make sure you guys like all set that up. Like that is the greatest life hack I've ever had.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And
see?
I like need to know things like that because you know this and I'm gonna expose Lauren right now, but we are kind of notorious for running outside like sometimes in the nighttime hours.
Yeah, you guys are so bad.
I know, but Lauren's worse. She's gonna hate me. And it's bad because we do it with headphones on.
I'm not fucking with that shit. I'm not getting kidnapped.
I know. I don't know why I'm like not scared of getting kidnapped. I don't know. Maybe because I think I'm fast. So I'm like, oh, I'll be fine. But that's so ignorant. Like I know that like it's like they just like trip you and you're done. You know?
They just hit you with the car and then they take you.
True.
You
Too.
You can't run a car.
Yeah.
You're fucked.
But cars can't get in certain places. Like I could like run into an apartment or like, you know. No.
I don't know. Like, don't run at night. Don't run alone. Like, I've listened to too many Crime Junkie episodes.
So have I. Which is
no.
I know.
No. There's multiple comments on here. I heard Alejandra has one quite crazy stalker story. Please tell us. Multiple people are asking for your stalker story.
It's like not that juicy, but I think what makes it crazy is that it was founded like through social media, which really shows you the power of social media and the dangers.
Give people a time, like a lowdown, like quick elevator pitch of your stalker experience.
Okay, I will give a SparkNotes version.
Give a SparkNotes version of your stalker story. The people want to know.
People want to know. It's not like that crazy. Like after hearing these things, I'm like, whoa. But I think what makes my story like weird is because it's so real and it can happen to anybody. And it honestly, a big part of it was through social media, which really exposes like the dangers. And I think through that, I realized how dangerous and accessible social media makes you. So I was dating somebody who had a relationship with a coworker, and relationship mostly physical, so not really like boyfriend girlfriend. But was seeing this coworker, and this coworker was married and had a whole family and was many years older. And she became very obsessed and really hated the idea of him dating me. And so she was essentially like following me on social media via multiple fake accounts for a long time before I realized it. So this person had like tabs on me, and this person pretty much figured out like everything about me.
Everything.
Everything. Like she must have ran a background check on me or something, because she like, or she was doing drive-bys by my house. I'm almost positive she was, because she knew like the make and model and plate of my car. Um, she had shown up somewhere that I was, and I'm almost positive she knew where I was because I had posted like a story at a restaurant and tagged the restaurant, and within an hour she showed up. And she showed up to my like boyfriend's house multiple times, like his physical house, and tried to like talk to him. And she would create multiple fake accounts on Instagram and text me from multiple different fake phone numbers, like burner phone numbers. And it was typically she would text me on like my birthday, Valentine's Day, like Christmas, Thanksgiving, like around the holidays, because I think her intention was like to throw a grenade at any like good moment that I could possibly have. I'm trying to like think of everything. There's so much that happened because it was like in the span of like 2 years. But this person just like, when you say stalker, I think everyone thinks of like the Netflix show You, like somebody's following you in like a hoodie, and she might have been following me, but
Probably.
probably, but more so the part that was stalking was that this person had a way of finding out everything about me, where I was going to be, what I did, what I drove, where I lived, who my friends were. She found out who my roommates were and like found them on social media. I was following them on fake accounts. She found out like what gym I went to. Like she figured out like everything. And I think that's the scary part. And so she was
Because you have
like,
nowhere to hide.
you have nowhere to hide. And I remember I like literally called out of work one day because I was like walking to my car to go to work, and I was like, I don't feel safe. I just don't know when I'm going to see this person and what they're capable of, because she's very like, she was very what's the word, like conniving and like sus.
This
And
is the one that's married, right?
yeah, she's still married. And so she would come up with such elaborate lies, and those are the scariest people. I don't want to diagnose her with anything because I don't know her well enough, but like she gives me heavy sociopath vibes, like somebody who can come up with such a elaborate but believable
Scheme,
lie
lie.
and like a scheme, and she would double down on her lies. So you'd be like, oh, there's no way she's bullshitting, because you're like, she has so much to lose. But she was. And I think she crossed a line when I went home to Minnesota, and I had a few people reach out to me because they were like, did you create a new Snapchat? And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, there's a Snapchat in your name messaging me about getting your like my login. And she essentially had created a Snapchat under my name, like Alejandra Nagel, but like use like an extra letter,
Oh my God.
and was messaging people saying like she created a new Snapchat, and that like my boyfriend's monitoring my phone. So don't call me or don't FaceTime me. Don't like pretend, like don't try to confirm my identity. And that's when it kind of crossed the line for me, because I'm like, this person will impersonate me to like my friends. And what for what? How far will they go?
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just this person was following me, and probably maybe even physically. I don't know. That's the thing, is you don't know when
She
you're
clearly was, just for the single fact alone that you would be at your boyfriend's house,
Mhm.
you would leave, and the minute you left, she would reach out and be like, I know Alejandra just left.
Well, she knew.
She was sitting outside in her car.
She knew when I was out of town, and I guess maybe she was following me on social media or like something, but she would figure out when I wasn't with my boyfriend and take advantage of that and like try to like insert herself. And I just, there's like another element to it that I like can't really talk about, but that was like creepy. She like figured out something that like she should have never figured out, and I still don't really know how she figured it out, but like things like that where I'm like, it you kind of, you want to blame yourself, because at that point I'm like, am I putting too much of my life on Instagram, like if
Yeah.
it's that easy? But things such as like the car that I drive, like maybe you could figure that out through my social media, but I don't know, some of those things.
No, I don't know. Like at that time, Like, you drove such a stereotypical car.
I know, especially for Los Angeles.
Like-
and she knew my plate, and I had out-of-state plates.
Yeah.
And
she was I bet she was following you.
Yeah.
She was you styling
Well,
it.
she actually said, so I'll give like one example of like how this, like she was conniving and like gaslighting is she said to my boyfriend, like, tell your girlfriend or whatever, something to the effect of, my neighbor says that like this, okay, I'll just like say it because I don't drive this car anymore. So she was like, this white Mercedes with Minnesota plates is keeps driving by my house. Can you tell your girlfriend to stop? And like, to this day, I don't know where she lives. I couldn't drive
Also,
there
she's
if
the
you had a
one
gun in my
fucking
head.
stalking you.
Yes, and I'm like it made me so angry because I'm like like literally if you held me hostage, I could not show you where she lives. I've never. Why would I do that? Two,
You're trying to avoid this bitch.
Yes, why would I like go
Not
seek
go to her
her out?
house.
And what would I do? Drive by her house? And then three, she obviously knew what I drove because that was accurate. And if I'm not driving by her house, which I'm not, how the hell does she know what I drive?
Cause she was in the bushes. She was you styling you. Guarantee it.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing she would do. She would call me on random numbers, unblocked, and just like listen. One time she called me. Oh, this is the funny part. I'll leave it at this. This is how we like got her. Actually, she tripped over herself a few times, but
she wasn't the brightest.
She was, but this is the thing.
She just went too far to where she started like poking holes in her own stories.
Exactly. When you get a little too bold and you're lying, you start to like you start to be your own, like, you tell on yourself, essentially. She told on herself.
Yeah.
So the funny part was when I was sitting, so back before I'd ever been stalked, I like didn't really realize people could like do that. So I kept getting these like random calls. And a woman would always ask me for like it was like a very pleasant, nice person. And she'd be like, hi, is Dennis there? And I'd be like, oh, no, sorry. Like, this is not, you have the wrong number.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, I am so sorry for your time. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Bye, whatever. And they were always like really nice. And one of the times I was sitting next to my boyfriend and I get a call and I was like, okay, listen, like I keep getting calls from these weird numbers. I'm like, I'm gonna put it on speaker so you can hear it because like it keeps happening. And I'm like, hi. And they're like, hey, is James there? And I'm like, no, there's no James here. You must have the wrong number. They're like, oh, are you sure? And I was like, yes. Like, I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. Like super apologetic. And I remember my boyfriend's face just kind of went pale.
He recognized the voice.
He recognized the voice. He was like, how long have you been getting these calls? And I was like,
oh.
I don't know, like a few weeks. And he was like, I know who that is. I know that voice. He's like, I've heard that voice so many times.
Fuck her.
Yeah. And she like admitted it later. She said she would like call me because she was
for what?
To see if I was with him. But I'm like,
you were asking for random people. Like,
I don't know if she thought maybe like she'd hear him in the background. I think you get so desperate.
Any glimpse of him that she could get.
Oh, and then she created a fake account and talked to me like she was a lawyer or like a law student or something because she knew I wanted to maybe go to law school. So she was like trying to have conversations with me on Instagram. Yeah, it was super weird, like a networking thing. And I like
she tried to infiltrate your life in any possible way she could.
Yes. It was super weird. Like I could go on and on. And I want to.
Don't you guys go to the same gym now?
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
She hasn't reached out.
No.
In
almost a year.
A year, yeah.
I think she's Holly. Oh,
sorry. Go back to bed.
I'm so sorry. Go bed. She's so cute. I think she just realized she's got to cut her losses and
it's over.
It's over. But yeah, I see her at the gym.
So bad.